Hello Internet, Stan Oblinger again. This video is in response to a message I got out of the blue on my LinkedIn from a connection, and the gist of it is this. I just got my performance evaluation, and the only recommendation for my improvement would have been improve my listening skill. So, Mr. Oblinger, where do I start? That's an excellent question. And dude, you came to the right place. So here we go. I think that the first piece of advice that I would dispense, and I would warn you about accepting, is what the King of Hearts says in Alice in Wonderland. And he says, begin in the beginning and keep working until you get to the end. I'm paraphrasing. Now, I know that's a nonsense novel, but Lewis Carroll had some wisdom here. If you want to get anywhere with a skill or an ability, I think it's good to start by taking stock of what you have. Where are you now? And you're really not going to end up anywhere you want to be unless you can start with that piece of data. So this is my recommendation. And it's hard. Go to all the people for the next week that you trust, your friends and your family, hopefully your boss and your colleagues and your peers, right? But also your subordinates at work, and you ask them, am I a good listener? What kind of listener am I? What have you noticed about my listening that is helpful for you, and what is hurting our relationship with my listening ability? And you just grin and bear it. But you have to create the impression that you really want to hear the truth, and when people are done, no matter whether you agree or not, you have to thank them. And I think at that point you might have a better idea of where you're at. And then maybe the last person is you. I think you should do an honest self-appraisal. And I mean, I can help with that right now. Here's an honest self-appraisal form. Do you interrupt? Do you one-up? And by that I mean, when somebody shares their story with you, do you sincerely inquire to find out more, or do you share your own story that is better? Do you actually listen, or you simply listen until you know what you want to say, and then do you stop listening? Do you daydream? Are you distracted by your environment, especially electronics, and especially your smartphone? That's mine, by the way. Are you distracted by your environment? That's what I have to work on. Do you interrogate? Do you ask a bunch of closed-ended questions that put the focus on you instead of the person that has the answers? Do you ignore other people's emotions when they're sharing their story? So if you answered yes to any of those, then you need to go back, and this is probably the last part of beginning that I think is really important. You have to create a culture of accountability. Go back to all those people that you trusted enough to get their opinion, and you tell them, I'm an interrupter. You just confess. Once you've identified your bad listening habits, you tell them, this is what I do that I know I do wrong, and I am commissioning you. Now, here's the deal. I live in rural Kansas, so posses aren't that weird out here, okay? But a lot of people are timid about involving others in some good old-fashioned public shaming and street justice. You can't be. You need to deputize all the people you trust to help you be a better listener. You need to create the culture of good listening by telling them, I give you permission, correct you when you're a bad listener. That's a hard thing, but it's really the only way I found that people I work with get better. Okay, so go do that. And I'll also help with this. When I get a little bit of time here, there's 8 active listening skills, and there's also what I found to be 2 components of proper listening, and only 2. 2 things you got to do if you want to be a good listener. I'll put a video out on those things when I get a chance. I'm Dan Oblinger. Send me your questions. I might just have to do a video about them.